Looking for a degree program that rewards you for what you already know? At WGU, all of our bachelor's and master's programs are competency-based, allowing you to progress at your own pace. Washingtonians know how valuable time and money are, and so do we. At WGU, your hard work and experience can help you finish your degree faster and for less. Join a community of driven professionals from across the DMV who are unlocking new career opportunities today. See how your knowledge can give you an edge at wgu.edu.
Good afternoon. Time to get right down to business here. Mottek On Money. We're doing it live right here, 790 KABC, also streaming live worldwide at KABC.com. And yes, the on-demand Mottek On Money podcast, KABC.com, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, all of your favorite podcast platforms. Well, stocks finished mixed today. It was a big day for NVIDIA, which hit a record high, the Magnificent One living up to its name, hitting a record high, seeing an impressive recovery since cracking below 100 earlier this year. NVIDIA shares up another 6 and change today to 154, with some analysts raising their price targets. It looks like Dan Ives, who was on this program 24 hours ago, still likes NVIDIA, and he had a two-handle on it when we talked to him yesterday. We also saw oil stocks back in focus today, but not because of the Middle East, which that ceasefire seems to be holding, because there's a report in the Wall Street Journal which claimed a mega merger in the oil business is in the works, a claim that was later denied by one of the companies reported to be involved in that possible deal. We'll take a closer look at that. Also, the Fed chairman on Capitol Hill for the second day in a row taking the spotlight. In a new testimony today, the Fed chairman stressed the Fed is still studying the effects of President Trump's tariffs before deciding on any rate cuts. The Dow Jones Industrial Average coming in for a closing loss today of 107 points. The S&P 500 closed it down a fraction, and the NASDAQ up 61 points at 19,973. Shares of BP, British Petroleum, whipsawing today. Investors reacting to reports that BP might be acquired by Royal Dutch Shell. That according to a report in the Wall Street Journal. Looks like Shell later denied that report. And BP shares retreated, closed up just about 1.5% at 30 and change. Meanwhile, oil prices edged higher as tensions cooled in the Middle East. Right now, we're looking at the price of oil in New York hovering just above $65 a barrel. Of course, everyone keeping a close eye on what's happening in the Middle East. The ceasefire brokered by President Trump appears to be holding. There have been no reported strikes between Israel and Iran since President Trump blasted both sides for breaching a ceasefire deal that was announced a couple days ago. The NASDAQ composite moving higher today, largely boosted by NVIDIA, which hit an all-time high today. Stocks did lose steam today as Fed Chairman Powell testified before the Senate Banking Committee, a second day of congressional testimony on Capitol Hill. We're also keeping an eye on what's happening with the cryptos, and it looks like Bitcoin had a good day. Right now, hovering above 107,000 once again, 107.5 or thereabouts. Ethereum at around 2,400. Doge has been under pressure right now at 16 cents. The yield in the 10-year note now at 4.29%. That's the one that impacts the fixed-rate mortgage rates out there, which have been elevated recently, but coming down a bit. Meanwhile, the head of the federal government agency that oversees mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac wants the mortgage giants to consider accepting a home buyer's cryptocurrency holdings in their criteria for buying mortgages from banks. We'll be taking a closer look at what's happening in the mortgage business, as well as the latest readings on new home sales and the whole works. I'll be joined later this hour by Dr. Chris Mayer, the CEO of Longbridge Financial, a company focused on reverse mortgages and home equity solutions for seniors. He'll be joining us live later this hour. As you may have heard, in fact, you heard it first here on Mottek On Money, the LA Business Federation Business Pulse poll shows taxes and fees topping the list of concerns for LA area businesses, even ahead of government regulation, interest rates, and the cost of energy, homelessness, and crime. All, of course, major issues here. We'll get the latest on all of that from LA tax issues from AIDAN CHAO, who happens to chair the Los Angeles Taxpayers Association, LA Tax at la-tax.org. AIDAN CHAO will be joining us live later this hour. But first, on your money, the markets, the economy, the whole works now. Joining us live, Gabriel Wisdom, Managing Director at American Money Management and author of Wisdom on Value Investing. Gabriel Wisdom, thank you very much for coming to the line here this afternoon.
My pleasure, Frank. It's been quite a period of time here. The events of the past 3 days has everybody talking about uncertainty. We've had a U.S. bombing, of foreign sovereignty. We have Mr. Powell testifying before Congress and the Senate. We've got all kinds of worries. We're climbing that wall of worry again, and this extremely negative thinking has the market climbing. There's uncertainty from tariffs, oil prices, war, the Federal Reserve, maybe the economy is in a nosedive, but clearly it is not. We're in the final weeks of the second quarter of earnings. Standard & Poor's 500 companies have been reporting mostly positive. The ninth straight quarter of earnings growth is what we're experiencing here. And this all during Mr. Trump's tariff turmoil. There are pockets of weaker earnings growth, certainly. Mostly it's in the energy patch, but 10 of the 11 major industry groups in our country have seen revenues grow year over year, some in the double digits, like technology, certainly, materials doing really well. It's not all bad.
On the air live with Gabriel Wisdom with American Money Management, and certainly that strike you referenced, obliterating Iran's nuclear program, that's being taken as a positive, it appears, in the financial markets, and even the price of oil has been very tame despite these dramatic developments recently, although ironically oil moved higher today, even though it appears the ceasefire deal is holding. We saw oil names in focus with this report in the Wall Street Journal that created quite a stir today with BP reported to be the takeover target by Royal Dutch Shell, something Shell later denied. With oil names so much in focus, what's your reaction to that report, this possibility, which Shell now denies, and oil names in general?
Well, I think they want to keep it quiet, but this is nothing new. Major oil companies and mid-sized oil companies have been merging for the past 6 years because of the economies of scale and also the general sentiment, especially at the government level and municipal level, against traditional types of energy. So oil companies find that they can buy assets with their excess revenue, and it makes a lot of sense. They get the benefit of what they call accreted earnings, and there's been a 12% plunge in oil prices just over the last week or so. That should help keep a lid on inflation, and lower inflation would mean that these oil companies, British Petroleum, Shell, it'd be Shell buying BP, they'll pay less if they go to the markets to help finance the acquisition.
All right, there were a lot of concerns, of course, if Israel or the U.S. bombed Iran's nuclear program, that we would see a tremendous spike in oil prices. That did not happen. Where are you placing your bets as far as the price of oil is concerned now?
I'm definitely long oil. I think oil is undervalued at this point. If you consider the average person who thinks that they're all green, they've got solar panels, they're driving an EV, they're still using oil. They've got natural gas. They've got to use it. They're writing with a plastic pen that's made from petrochemicals. And so the energy companies aren't drilling like they were, creating a shortage. So I think oil makes a lot of sense in a diversified portfolio. And, we've got a ceasefire in the Middle East. It was a good thing, for the markets and for the world. It certainly helped the Asian markets. They had a lot of collateral damage risks if Iran were to close the Strait of Hormuz in retaliation for the bombing. Upwards of 80% of the crude oil and liquefied natural gas that passes through that waterway is destined for Asia. So that was a big win for China, and I'd say thanks to the administration for helping to broker that.
Any big takeaways from the Fed chairman's testimony today? He continues to talk about worries about inflation because of President Trump's tariffs, but so far, based on the latest readings we've been getting on inflation, the inflation readings have been better than expected, coming in below expectations here. The Fed chairman, by the way, is not an economist. He's an attorney, from what I can recall. You're an economist. What do you think about the potential impact of tariffs on inflation, and where does inflation go from here?
Well, I'm not sure I agree that tariffs are inflationary. He said in his testimony, if not for the expectations of higher inflation this year from tariffs, we would have continued cutting or reductions in interest rates. But, as Thomas Lee from FedStrat pointed out, you've got two choices. Choice A, you raise taxes by $200 billion. Choice B, you raise prices by $200 billion with the proceeds paid to the U.S. government. So why is the Fed viewing tariffs as a risk to inflation? You see what he's saying? Tariffs are just a one-time price rise. They're certainly not popular, but they're unlikely to be inflationary. Inflation is driven by imbalances in supply versus demand. We see that with oil shocks. We see that when the government prints a lot of money, but that's not the case right now.
Very interesting. On the air live with Gabriel Wisdom with American Money Management, based right here in Southern California. And there have been some calls for lower rates by this summer. We are in the summer now, so that would be next month at the Fed's next big meeting. A couple of Fed governors have openly expressed the thought that rates could come down next month. What do you think is going to happen next month?
I don't think rates are going to come down next month, and I think it's because of the uncertainty. There is one big positive, Frank. Today, U.S. regulators proposed a substantial rollback of bank capital rules, and these were imposed back in 2008 as a result of the great financial crisis. But this is a major victory for lenders that are seeking some relief from things. This change it will benefit the biggest U.S. lenders, the biggest banks, and the Federal Reserve governors approved the proposal today by a 5-2 vote, meaning it'll be put out for public comment. But this is very, very positive. There's more capital then there's every reason why interest rates in the open market would go down.
Very interesting. The Fed kicking off the effort to ease bank leverage rules. That's one of the headlines coming out today. And are they thinking about rolling back Sarbanes-Oxley? Maybe I haven't mentioned that in quite 15 years at least. Almost 20 now, coming off the Great Recession and the financial crisis. And might we see easier mortgages and go back to those days? What impact are you initially picking up on some of these suggested rollbacks that are in the works?
Well, the whole idea is to make it easier for individuals and companies to borrow money. It'll give the banks more capital to lend. So it creates an even bigger pool of buyers for whatever. The government likes it because there's a bigger pool of buyers for U.S. Treasuries. Banks have been complaining that this 2008 legislation penalizes them for holding lower risk assets like Treasury bonds because they're forced to rather than lending out the money. So it's a big positive, I think.
All right. In all this, we've seen the price of gold hold fairly steady lately. Hit a record high above $3,500. Right now we're at around $3,350 here. Silver above $36 an ounce. What about the precious metals performance in all these epic headlines we've seen in the last couple of weeks?
The good thing about gold, Frank, is that it's apolitical. There's never a concern as to the credit worthiness of gold because it can't default. And the central banks around the world have been making extensive purchases of gold, and that boosts its safe haven status. The European Central Bank it recently reported that gold overtook the euro, and it's the second largest reserve asset at the European Central Bank, makes up about 20% of their global reserves. I mean, that's the benefit of gold right now, and so it's popular. The problem with gold is it's made jewelry expensive, and jewelry sales have suffered. But there's a resurgence in platinum as an alternative. Jewelers they're using platinum, and that's expected to drive an increase in global jewelry demand. Of course, platinum has had a great run. It's up some 40% so far this year.
Right, after being a sleeper under 1,000 for quite some time, as we've noted here, certainly on this program, all of a sudden platinum is above $1,300 an ounce. So let me take a look here, $1,353 and change, up another nearly $25 today. Silver at $36.24, gold to be precise, up about $4 at $3,347 here at the moment. Turning now to so-called digital gold. We talked to the biggest fans of crypto here, as well as the harshest critics, but it's hard to ignore Bitcoin's rally this year. And, of course, the Trump administration very friendly to crypto across the board. And we see a Bitcoin hovering at around 107 at the moment, 107,500 or so. What about Bitcoin still near its record high, close to 112,000?
Well, there's a lot of wind at Bitcoin's back. The sales are full, and you mentioned that William Pulte, who's the head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a government agency that controls government mortgages, he's now ordered those agencies to prepare a proposal for consideration. I think it is to make crypto an asset for reserves that are recognized. The banks that are looking to judge somebody's credit quality had been forcing crypto owners to convert their crypto to dollars. Well, under this new order, we're going to see, or it'll encourage banks anyway to expand how they gauge a home buyer's credit worthiness. And that's just another benefit for crypto. I've been a late adopter. I've been a non-believer. I have to say I still favor dollars and gold, but it's here. It's digital. It's for real.
All right, it's here, and we are talking about it live on the air with Gabriel Wisdom with American Money Management. And Gabriel Wisdom, before we let you off the hook here, any specific places where you are putting money now and or taking it off the table?
Frank, I've been a steady enthusiast for energy, for utilities in particular. Constellation Energy is now restarting 3 Mile Island. You remember back in the late 70s when Unit 2 of 3 Mile Island was shut down due to a partial meltdown. Well, now Microsoft is behind this effort to reopen 3 Mile Island. It'll be more modern and much safer. It'll be very safe, as a matter of fact. But it's clean energy rather, and the interest in nuclear energy is booming because of this need for energy. So I like all things data center driven, in particular the utilities right here.
All right. Well, Gabriel, thank you very much for that thorough assessment, analysis, and great to speak with you as always. Gabriel Wisdom, Managing Director at American Money Management, based here in Southern California, also author of Wisdom on Value Investing. Gabriel, thank you very much. We wish you a great rest of the day, and look forward to speaking with you again very, very soon.
Thank you, Frank.
Out to the freeways we go now. Gorgeous day here in Southern California on 790 KABC. Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. Good afternoon. NVIDIA taking the spotlight again. The Magnificent One hitting a record high at the close today, moving up more than 4%, settling above $154 a share, $154.31 at the closing bell. The previous record high of $149 happened back in January. So NVIDIA up more than $6 today at $154.31 at the closing bell. Looks like a Loop Capital analyst raised his price target on NVIDIA stock to $250 today, the highest Wall Street analyst tracked by Yahoo Finance. Apple today also higher, up $1.26 at 201.56. That one's been a laggard among the Mag 7 names recently. BP shares moving at 49 cents to 30.32. Had been higher earlier on a report in the Wall Street Journal that said Royal Dutch Shell was interested in acquiring BP, a claim that Royal Dutch Shell later denied. The price of oil hovering above $65 a barrel now, up 31 cents at 65.23. Mixed finish for the major stock market averages, with the Dow pulling back 107 points to 42,982. The S&P 500 was virtually unchanged today at 6,092. And the NASDAQ composite moved higher by 61 points at 19,973, helped by NVIDIA. The price of gold moving higher, of about $4 now at 3,347. Silver at 36.24. And platinum, it's been a star this year, up nearly $24 at 1,353 an ounce. Turning to the cryptos now, we see a Bitcoin pulling back about 300 after a big rally in the last couple of days. Right now at about 107,500. Ethereum at 2,420, and Doge at the moment at 16 cents. The yield in the 10-year note, which impacts fixed-rate mortgage rates out there, has eased to 4.29%. And now the latest news on 790 KABC.
Looking for a degree program that rewards you for what you already know? At WGU, all of our bachelor's and master's programs are competency-based, allowing you to progress at your own pace. Washingtonians know how valuable time and money are, and so do we. At WGU, your hard work and experience can help you finish your degree faster and for less. Join a community of driven professionals from across the DMV who are unlocking new career opportunities today. See how your knowledge can give you an edge at wgu.edu.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back.
I think the boundaries are getting a little unboundaried, but that's fine.
From relationships,
it's grabbing coffee with your friends. That is
right up my alley.
Right?
To business and beyond.
Where there's history, true friendships, but it's fine. I've also been a rat. I'm obsessed with her. I hate her. Literally the exact same feeling.
If you really want to party,
you have to have the perfect combination.
Give them Lala. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. Good afternoon. As you first heard on this program, the LA Business Federation Business Pulse poll recently showed taxes and fees topping the list of concerns for LA area businesses, ahead of other big issues, including homelessness and crime, which, of course, also remain major issues here. Let's get the very latest on what's happening on the LA tax scene. Joining us live now is AIDAN CHAO, who chairs the Los Angeles Taxpayers Association, LA Tax, at la-tax.org. AIDAN, thank you very much for joining us live here and keeping our audience of taxpayers well informed on all things taxes here in Southern California.
Good afternoon, Frank. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful to have you with us here, and congratulations on a great event last week with America's leading taxpayer advocate, Grover Norquist, who came in from Washington, who spoke to your membership, and it was honored to be there with you, and he was on this program again earlier this week. So following up on all the big issues he brought up, certainly local tax issues are very, very important here. Give us an update on what's happening top of mind here for the LA taxpayers.
Right now, top of mind, without a doubt, for taxpayers and ratepayers is in LA City Council. It's with the regulatory bodies, and we're happy to report that recently we were able to beat Rules 1111 and 1121 from the Southern California or South Coast AQMD, which was an effective tax and ban on gas-powered heaters. So we were very successful in banning that, and we would like to thank our membership for their efforts to do that with us. But then right now, we're very concerned about the proposal and ordinance that the LA City Council passed 12-3 regarding a $30 minimum wage by 2028 for hospitality, and two other countermeasures that the unions are putting up, trying to enforce a citywide $30 minimum wage. Right now is the worst time to do that. Not only is there no oversight from business communities, it is also coming up on the 2028 Olympics, which LA is woefully unprepared for, and this would further strain small business and create an environment where we can't even afford to host that, and people can't afford to pay for the Olympics coming into town from all over the world.
See it tonight, read about it tomorrow, but hear it now on Mottek on Money on 790 KABC, on the air live with AIDAN CHAO, who chairs the Los Angeles Taxpayers Association. Tell us about what ballot issues voters here are going to be facing, and certainly there was big news when the City Council voted to increase the minimum wage for tourism-related industries, right, to $30 an hour, which is about a 55% increase of the minimum wage here, and in a very critical part of the local economy. Now they want to do it across the board. So tell us what people need to know about all that.
Certainly. By 2028, they want to raise it by about that 55%. And right now, we've got a coalition of tourism industry leaders, small businesses that are putting up a countermeasure to that proposal that would allow for a citizens' vote on the $30 minimum wage. And the signatures are being gathered for that right now. We need 93,000 signatures, more or less, to get that on the ballot so that citizens, instead of just the body of 15 council members, have a say. So the signatures for that are due on June 29th. They must be due this Sunday, and we feel very confident that we can hit those 93,000 signatures in order to restore the citizens' voice on such a large and potentially catastrophic minimum wage raise that LA is woefully unprepared for. However, the unions are coming back against the business community, against the taxpayers of LA by putting two ballot measures on the ballot themselves that need to collect 93,000 signatures, and one would enforce a citywide minimum wage of $30, not only for tourism, but citywide. And a second would require a citizens' vote on every single hotel development subsidy that's being proposed, which would make it impossible for us to bring our tourism standards up to a level where we can provide the services needed for LA 28. So right now, the unions are basically going to kneecap the city economy as well as the LA 2028 preparation if they get their way. And the LA business community is coming together to ensure that does not happen with our own ballot measure, as well as opposing these potential countermeasures, these two ballot initiatives that they're trying to put on the ballot.
Well, thanks for doing such a great job in following all this and explaining it so well. For anyone that wants more information about your effort, what's the best way to find that?
Sure, certainly. Please contribute to us, sign up for our newsletter, get in touch with us at la-tax.org. Please email us at talktous@la-tax.org. We would love to hear your thoughts and love to have you help out, because right now it's critical that the action item is we need business input regarding all of these issues. We cannot have a monolith voice from LA City Council. We cannot have a monolith voice from the unions. We need the community to talk. So we propose a task force. We propose oversight over these minimum wage ordinances. We propose the business community, the hotel community, tourism community to have an input. Please reach out to us at la-tax.org.
On the air live with AIDAN CHAO, who chairs the Los Angeles Taxpayers Association, LA Tax at la-tax.org. And AIDAN, as you probably heard in the last 24 hours, the city of Los Angeles declared a fiscal emergency, and it appears, if anything, there's going to be upward pressure on raising taxes here once again. What's your reaction to that big news this week and the fact that the city is in a $1 billion budget hole?
Well, that underscores the decades of waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement that LA City Council has found itself in. We had a period of time where we had 3 council members concurrently get convicted or plead guilty of bribery and corruption-related charges. We're looking at a systematic waste of government resources in the city attorney's office, in the public defender's office, in the controller has made this very clear that everything is being overspent, underserviced, and right now we are prioritizing the budget wrong. So it's no surprise that there's a fiscal emergency. There's just been no solution from anybody to fix it, and we're here to provide some of that accountability and oversight.
And another issue that's getting attention through your group, and this was mentioned the other night at that great event, and certainly I would encourage everyone to take a look at your website and attend some of the upcoming great events that you organize, and that is the issue of ULA, the so-called mansion tax here, which is being challenged. One of the prominent attorneys involved in that fight spoke about this the other night. We hope to have him on the air here very, very soon as well. But where do things stand with this so-called mansion tax, which has been a disaster as far as commercial real estate here in the Los Angeles area?
Well, let's make it clear. It's not a mansion tax. It hits every property in LA City over $5 million, which includes many, many commercial properties owned by small businesses. So this is detrimental to small business. It's detrimental to homeowners who have large assets tied into their homes and not much else. But it hampers the rebuilding of the Palisades as well. But what we're looking at is that the monies collected from this tax, because of the way that they've been collected, cannot be used because of the way that they've been collected to finance some of these affordable housing initiatives, due to the fact that they don't qualify for the Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae mortgages. So what we're looking at is an issue with financing for these affordable housing projects. This tax may be not able to provide what it was promised. It's built on false promises, and Keith Fromm, our board member from LA Tax, who is the attorney leading this lawsuit, will be discussing more about this with you, Frank.
Very fine. We'll look forward to that. And Aidan, thank you very much for that comprehensive update. As always, we'll keep an open line to you. And you're absolutely right. The so-called mansion tax, which impacts, if anything, more so commercial real estate, as you laid out perfectly. Aidan CHAO, chair of the Los Angeles Taxpayers Association. Once again, their website is la-tax.org. Thank you very much, Aidan, for joining us live here this afternoon.
Thank you for having me, Frank. Great talking. Have a great afternoon.
Likewise. You too. Thank you very much. And let's check your ride now. 790 KABC.
Looking for a degree program that rewards you for what you already know? At WGU, all of our bachelor's and master's programs are competency-based, allowing you to progress at your own pace. Washingtonians know how valuable time and money are, and so do we. At WGU, your hard work and experience can help you finish your degree faster and for less. Join a community of driven professionals from across the DMV who are unlocking new career opportunities today. See how your knowledge can give you an edge at wgu.edu.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back.
I think the boundaries are getting a little unboundaried, but that's fine.
From relationships,
It's grabbing coffee with your friends. That is
Hey, right up my alley.
Right?
to business and beyond.
Where there's history, true friendships, but it's fine. I've also been a rat. I'm obsessed with her. I hate her. Literally the exact same feeling.
If you really want to party,
You have to have the perfect combination.
Give them Lala. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. Good afternoon. Turning now to real estate and the mortgage business. The latest news, sales of new single-family homes fell more than expected last month as high mortgage rates sapped demand, boosting the supply of unsold homes on the market. This as the firestorm recovery continues here in the Los Angeles area, in Malibu, Palisades, and Altadena. Meanwhile, the head of the federal government agency that oversees mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac wants those mortgage giants to consider accepting a homebuyer's cryptocurrency holdings in their criteria for buying mortgages from banks. Let's bring in an expert on all of this now, including news of a new mortgage product for seniors. Dr. Chris Mayer is with us now, the CEO of Longbridge Financial, a company focused on reverse mortgages and home equity solutions for seniors. Dr. Mayer, thank you very much for taking the call here this afternoon.
Hey, great to join you, Frank.
Wonderful to have you with us here, and certainly real estate very much in focus with the latest readings we got here, and also mortgage rates have been elevated lately, but looks like with the yield in the 10-year note, which we pay attention to coming down, maybe there's some relief here. What do you see ahead here? Give us your assessment here on the mortgage front, first of all.
Mortgage rates have been, call it range bound. They've been bouncing around a little bit, but we're still pretty close to the level of where they've been the last year, actually slightly higher, 6.8%. I think the average has been around 6.7. I think it's hard to see, big changes in mortgage rates or the 10-year right now, given what we know. Powell's still taking things, slowly and carefully. And, with tariff talk and little, bit of unrest in the world, I think there's still a lot of uncertainty, but I think anybody who is looking at the market saying, if only rates go down by blank, I'll be a lot happier. That hasn't been a great strategy for several years now.
And certainly home availability and affordability continue to be big issues here, especially coming off the firestorms, which wiped out so many homes and businesses. Specifically, what are you seeing here in the Los Angeles area? What's your assessment of what's happening here now?
Well, I mean, obviously a horrible set of events, and a lot of your listeners, have clearly been devastated by the fires, and obviously a lot of discussion about that. It's a tough time to be a homeowner right now, and dealing with the impact of the fires, even if you didn't lose your home or have friends or family, you're facing pretty significant increases in insurance costs, and that's probably going to continue going forward, not diminish. And so, our company serves older Americans, and we see a lot of people who are really struggling, facing pretty sharp increases in homeowners insurance. And I'll sort of say we found some people who are looking and saying, can I really keep the insurance? Can I keep my homeowners insurance going? More and more seniors have actually been looking to potentially drop that insurance. But for them, the impact of dropping that would be devastating in the event of a fire coming back to them.
Yeah, certainly that's been a big factor here. Even wealthy people have found themselves underinsured, and it's been heartbreaking, especially seniors. Tell us about your company there, Longbridge Financial, which is focused on reverse mortgages and home equity solutions for seniors. Tell us about some of the products that are available nowadays for seniors, reverse mortgages, and so forth.
Yeah, so we, as you said, my background actually is as a longtime professor, not a longtime professional in the mortgage industry, but we started our company about a decade ago with the idea of trying to find responsible ways for older Americans to use home equity in retirement. And I liken it to the idea that if you're a first-time buyer, and you go in and somebody says, look, I think you should just get a conforming Fannie Freddie mortgage, put down 20%, you're going to look around and say, wait, don't you have solutions for people buying their first home? Because, 20% of a $800,000 or $900,000 home in your listening area is, requires $160,000 or more money to put aside. The same thing is true for older Americans. They have different needs. Their income is going down, not up. And they're, for many people, for 3/4 of people in retirement, they have more money in home equity than they do in all of their other, assets put together, other than Social Security. And Social Security is under attack these days as well. So what our company is about is providing responsible solutions for older Americans to tap that home equity. And by responsible, we really mean solutions that are tailored to the needs of older Americans who have a very different profile than other people.
So historically, reverse mortgages, right? What about home equity loan products too? Anything new on the horizon that you can share with us?
Absolutely. So we are launching on July 1st a new product called HELOC for Seniors. The first time that we're aware of that this product has been offered in the United States, although it is offered in other countries, including the UK and Australia and a bunch of other countries. Last year in 2024, 400,000 people who were 62 and older applied for some kind of cash out product to pull money out of their home, either a closed-end second or a regular HELOC. The problem for many of those people is that product isn't designed to meet their needs. In the case of a closed-end second, you're actually paying down the loan back to zero. So you're now 65, 70, you're in retirement, you're near retirement, and you're looking at having to pay a loan down as opposed to using home equity. In the case of a bank HELOC, it's worse. You have a 10-year period, you can draw the loan, and then after 10 years, you have to pay the loan down over the next 15. Typical person faces a 40% increase in payments. So if you're 62, 65, You take out a loan, 10 years later, you're 72 or 75, and your payment just went up 40%. That's devastating for people. And so if you look at the United States, data from Harvard shows over 7 million people, 65 and older, spend more, homeowners, not renters, homeowners, spend more than 30% of their income on housing. And about half of those spend more than 50% of income on housing. In California, that represents 850,000 seniors who are spending more than 30% of their income in retirement on housing, and about 500,000 of those are spending more than 50%. So our product, go ahead.
Yeah. Quickly tell us about it, because we're just about out of time here.
Yeah. That product is interest only forever. You never have to pay down the loan.
Dr. Mayer, thank you very much for joining us. And for anyone that wants more information about it, go to Longbridge Financial's website. Dr. Chris Mayer, the CEO of Longbridge Financial. Thank you very much for joining us live here. Mottek on Money on 790 KABC.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Inside the opening 45 seconds. What a goal! Jack McGlynn with that cannon of a left foot.
Never miss a game.
What a start for the United States.
Shot for distance. What a goal!
Never miss a moment.
Exquisite from the San Diegan. Can he finish? Yes, he can! Yeah!
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.